Okay, I had a question today about where to put your thumb on the back of the neck when you're practicing your chords. And the answer is it depends. And depends on what? Let's take a look. So let's see. It's going to be tricky figuring out which camera is the best camera for this. Let's try this one. Okay, so let's say first thing to know is, how are you holding the guitar? Are you holding the guitar in sort of a more traditional classic guitar position where the guitar neck is 45 degrees to the ground? You might be doing that sitting by having your knee up, right? And situating the guitar on your left knee that way. Or are you sitting with the guitar or standing with the guitar in a more mandolin-like position where the guitar neck is more parallel to the ground? Because that makes a big difference on where your thumb is going to go. And I make the distinction talking about mandolin technique, where your thumb is probably going to be over the neck, versus guitar technique, where your thumb is going to be behind the neck. Now, while I'm looking at behind the neck right here, this also depends on what your thumb is like. Some people, like me, have what's called a straight thumb. My thumb does not bend here at all. I don't have any hyperextension here at this joint at all. So I end up pushing with my thumb kind of on the pad of the thumb right there. You can see in such a way, right? And I've got a little bit of arch in the wrist, which is nice. The neck is tilted up. This is more like classical position. If I show you this, I'm not all the way to classical position, might be a little bit more like that. But the thumb is going to be somewhere in the center of the back of the neck. For some people, especially people whose thumbs are more curved than mine, some people's thumbs hyperextend a little bit here at the middle of the thumb. This is one of the strange things that you learn as a guitar teacher about the variety of people's hands, that they'll hyperextend there. And if it hyperextends at that joint, you might end up a little bit lower, and it might be comfortable for you too. And then the other thing that sometimes you see in some folks is that for folks who have a thumb that hyperextends here at this joint, so your thumb can bend back. I had a student that could bend his thumb all the way back to his forearm. It was amazing. If that, you might try supporting your thumb more like a violin or a cello player, where you're actually flexing the thumb behind like so. And so that's all for this guitar technique. And so it might look something more like this. I don't have that kind of thumb, so I don't press like that. But if you do, and if you're finding it's hard to support the thumb because it hyperextends here at this joint, you might try actually using the whole thumb and flexing. It's basically, it allows you to engage the whole thumb together, so that's all working together, which is a good thing. Now, if you're sitting more casually with the guitar, and the guitar is more parallel to the neck, is more parallel to the ground, a good starting place is to just hang your hand from your thumb over the top of the neck when the neck is more parallel to the ground like this, because this technique comes from mandolin, and there's a lot of folk and rock guitar technique that actually comes from mandolin playing. The trick about this is that you'll then be able to push, it's a little more difficult to show, you'll then be able to push from sort of this part of your thumb, right here a little bit. And so that may be more comfortable for some folks, especially if you do have that hyperextension in the thumb there. So you can actually push from there. And so you want to think about just having the neck just gently between your thumb and index finger. And one thing that I want to say about that is that you want to avoid what I call palming the neck, which is if you have your full palm expressed against the neck like that, you want to actually keep your wrist kind of neutral and have a little gap here, so that you're really kind of pushing with these portions of your thumb and maybe a little bit of this knuckle here on your index finger, a little bit perhaps right there. But you'll actually find most of the pressure from the back of the neck from the pad of your thumb right here, probably. And that'll work for a lot of your open chords. Just keeping a little space in there, you can see, between my palm and the neck. is a good starting posture for this for more casual guitar technique. So those are the two ways to look at it. Where your thumb should go is that everybody's hands are different, and so you may find slight variations on this. The other thing that I'll point out is that if you take your hand and you go really fast like this, like you're making a, you know, a very fast talking animal, sock animal or whatever, and then you just stop with the thumb and the fingers, you'll note that the tip of the thumb kind of comes in between these three fingers, and it somewhere ends up sort of between the second and third fingers. And it's probably, although not necessarily, going to end up lined up there on the back of the neck if you're more classical position, or a little bit higher if you are more mandolin position. So there's just a little good info on how to use your left hand and how to use your thumb in particular, in forming open position chords or playing scales in open position or anything like that. Thanks for watching. Please like, link, subscribe, press the bell, do all that stuff. Tell your mother. Okay, bye. Have a good day.